What's the word, YouTube? It's your boy Gotti, man. We just here vibing. Um, I've been catching up on season 3 of House of Villains, and we're just getting straight into it today. So once you tune in, man, just make sure that you subscribe, up, like the video. I appreciate everybody that be catching the replays. It's your boy Gotti. We just here chatting live, man. You know I've been going live with y'all for the past couple weeks. I am in Atlanta currently. I am in Atlanta currently. So my people get up with me. But man, like I said, I've been catching up on season 3 of House of Villains. It's pretty good. New York is back for the third time. She's been there every season. They had Jackie Christie from Basketball Wives, and if you know, Basketball Wives just ended. So it's pretty good that Jackie Christie is getting other work. She wasn't there past episode 2. I'm on episode 4 now. That's all that's currently out. Drita from Mob Wives, which is another VH1 show, is on there. So that's 3 reality stars. You got a couple people you got somebody from Big Brother, someone from Survivor. You guys know how they do when they pick those for those game shows. But House of Villains is a pretty good one. I've enjoyed it all 3 seasons. I'm going to continue to tune in. Make note that they are now on Peacock. So as like they keep saying they got a better budget. But in other news, T.I., 50 Cent, King, and Damani Harris is still having their little push back and forth, man. You know, we got the diss track from Tip. We got all of the posts and the pictures and memes and all of that from 50. But, you know, it really started because T.I. called 50 out for verses. Now, T.I. is saying that allegedly him and 50 had this conversation when they was in L.A. I believe it was L.A. or Vegas, don't quote me, where they was trying to, you know, sell some TV shows and pitch some ideas. And, you know, according to T.I., him and 50 was basically agreed on what was to happen. T.I. said he was going to jump out there with it, and 50 was supposed to follow. So it was supposed to be like a call out type of situation, but both parties knew that it was going to happen. Now, all this is alleged news here with Gotti. And once, you know, Tip said that in the interview, basically questioning 50 character because he had been calling 50 out for a while. And, you know, I think a lot of us was confused as to, you know, why was Tip saying it so frequently, but it was because Tip had that conversation prior, according to him. So, you know, that's just very strange to see how it's all playing out now, and it has led to a series of diss tracks. But the money just dropped something, and you know, again, this is the money second song that he's put out against Tip. Not against Tip. What am I talking about? Against 50. You know, Tip went on to the Breakfast Club and was talking about how he's not impressed, or he didn't, you know, necessarily want his son to jump into that beef. And I seen Charlemagne basically telling the money, yeah, that wasn't protocol, blah, 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 blah. You know, I get it, but like the money said, you know, from the little clip that I did see, is that, you know, that's just how he was feeling. And I think that a lot of people forget that we are artists. And when it comes to the form of art, whether that's music, you know, rapping, singing, playing the guitar, anything that comes to a form of art, you know, that's people outlet. Even if it's drawing, like that's people outlet. So the money made it clear that, you know, that's something he recorded, people heard it and was like, hey, you can't let this sit. This is hot. And oftentimes a lot of artists do that, you know. I've had my own experiences with people putting shit on wax, but I was told to stop bringing that up, so I'm gonna leave it alone. But you know, that was very interesting to me to just see how, you know, Tip said he wasn't, you know, interested in the money or King stepping up to the plate. Now, I get it because you're a grown man and you know you probably want to hold the standard, but I definitely think it was dope that shit, the whole family tagged in and they getting some fun on it because you mentioned the matriarch of our home, like you mentioned the woman of our household who is, you know, supposed to be the queen or the lead of the house. You mentioning her and you're not even mentioning her in a great way, you're being negative, and then she caught a stray from something that somebody else was doing. So I feel like, they did what they needed to do. King standing protecting his mom. The money stuff they're doing was rightfully needs to be done. So I don't find a problem with it. Now, another thing that I want to spend a block on, I know you mentioned the Breakfast Club. That's where the money did his interview at. I would like to talk about the Breakfast Club because Jess Hilarious came out and spoke and kind of, raised some flags with stating how the Breakfast Club is not really the same Breakfast Club since switching to Netflix, and how she feels that they're not in touch with the fans, so to speak. So let's take a listen and then we'll chat.
Breakfast Club are starting to see that the relationship is not cracked up to be everything they would have liked for it to be. Take a listen. I ain't gonna lie, yo, since Breakfast Club been on Netflix, man, our engagement, our people be all the fans that we built up over time, or that they built up. I just got here. That they built up over time on YouTube. Oh my God, they feel neglected because Netflix was like, nope, we want all that. Y'all can't have no other social media presence, none. So now we gotta find other content to do that will go on our other platforms. But it's okay because Just Alert's got that in a bag, shorty. So make sure y'all tune into Justice Thoughts. I started doing a segment where.
So here's my thoughts. I actually didn't even know that he was still a part of that video. I just saved it so that I can get that little piece of reference to speak about because I already know what's happening. So without using any talking points from anybody or taking views or thoughts from anyone, I would just like to say, I could see that very much being the case because Netflix is Netflix. You know, when it comes to Netflix, you don't know anything about shows that are going to come prior. You don't get to watch full episodes and seasons of shit. That shit just come on Netflix and that's when it's out. So when it comes to Breakfast Club, it's not going to be any different. And I think that's what the world has become too much intertwined, and that's just a prime example. Radio should have never been turned into a TV format. Now I understand bringing the bridge and making podcasts this great avenue and putting that on Netflix, but to pick up Breakfast Club as a syndicated talk radio station that operates off of a FM signal, you know, I don't really understand how we would think that it would be cool for that to go to a television program anyway. That's the difference between TV and radio. And we've made this too common over the past 5 to 6 years. We're trying to merge everything and it goes beyond that. But this is a prime example. And so I don't think anything is wrong with Netflix doing that per se, but it does fuck up the viewers because when it comes to radio, when it comes to all of these radio stations that have been, well, I'm not even gonna say stations, these radio shows that have been around for so long, like your Tom Joyner's, your Steve Harvey Morning Show, your Ricky Smiley, like these are just big names that were predominantly morning shows in the black community, growing up over the early 2000s, late 90s, so on and so forth. These were the staple shows, and it was a routine for a certain market. When they were headed to work, they would listen to the radio. Even hell at work, a lot of people still play the radio. Contests, prizes, winning giveaways, hell, just really calling to talk and state your piece. If you sit in traffic and you're in the traffic jam, if you're on a job and somebody's pissing you off, if you see something happening or you at a store and they got a sale and you want to call in and put some people on, like that's what the radio used to be about. The radio used to be about the area that you were in. Like, we became too mainstream, and Breakfast Club, rightfully so, gained the audience because they recorded their interviews and put them on YouTube. But what I liked about Breakfast Club was that we didn't get it wasn't oversaturated. We wasn't tired of the Breakfast Club interviews. We look forward to those interviews weekly, or how they used to come out, like every 3 days, or hell, some weeks every day. Breakfast Club had some type of content or interview to put out when Angela Yee was present, when it was just Charlamagne and DJ Envy at that time, the original three. With Jess is more so a media personality. So Jess viewership comes from a certain audience. So when I seen them leaning towards, social media and making clips and all of that. I understood that because you have to capitalize off of one of your hosts' viewership. But being that you're taking that over to Netflix and removing that off of YouTube and keeping the originality of my radio station when I get in the car for the people that were in New York listening to New York radio, that they can tune into the Breakfast Club. Now you've made it to a point in time that, okay, well, let's back away from sponsoring radio shows in the morning and putting sponsorships behind this. Let's just start to put it on a TV or go to Dish Nation, like, with Ricky Smiley. It's all about growth. Now, it's not like a negative thing, but at some point we have to stop with the mixing and mingling. Like I said, for instance, Ricky Smiley, they have Dish Nation, which kind of lets you see a little bit more of what happens in a radio form, but also just reporting mainly on like pop culture and entertainment news. But that's something that they do outside of taping the radio show. That's something that they finish taping and then they go and do. Breakfast Club put it all in one. And like I said, again, they were running the bundle at that time. Like, it was very, very important. I wonder if I can hold on, y'all. All right. All right, are we still rolling over here? It looked like the time is frozen. All right, there we go. Yeah, y'all, I'm sorry. I don't know why I used this device to tell everybody that I was over here live on Instagram trying to recruit the people over. Don't know why I just didn't do it from another device. But we back. So, as I was saying, man, welcome in to the people that are just now joining the live. I do not expect you guys to be able to catch my lives, but I do appreciate everybody that be in the scroll, that pops in, that throw up a conversation. I do appreciate you guys, but I definitely appreciate everybody that do rewatches and replays because I see it and I know that the numbers are growing. Just remember, once you click in a live, to subscribe up and like the video. Now, back to what I was saying before the break. So, with Breakfast Club doing that, it's like, how do we go back? Because that was a huge thing, that deal that Breakfast Club was able to land with Netflix. And I don't really, you know, I don't like how we get out of the free part of it. Like, sitting and listening to radio in your car is something that you don't necessarily pay for, if that makes sense. Yes, there's advertisement. Yes, there's sponsorships and a lot of money that go into it. But on another side, but things that are given to us, I think that we have not valued for quite some time is now starting to vanish, and we're now starting to see things that are being taken for granted. And I think radio is the main one. And you know to go beyond Breakfast Club, I think a lot of radio stations have made cuts throughout the end of 2025 heading into 2026 of this current year because of the industry not being as profitable. And a lot of personalities, that have been in a game will tell you that they feel like radio has decided to go younger. I don't think it's a thing with radio deciding to go younger. I think it's a thing with radio deciding to have to go with someone that is newer, fresher, that don't really have that name and is not going to require such a large payout at the beginning, because it's not a booming business, like it once was. And that's just me assuming. That's not with any concrete facts, but that's me talking from the outside. I'm not even gonna say that's me talking from the hallway, seeing the shit that's going on, you know, behind the glass wall. So it's like it's more to it, and I think that it's not just radio. I think it's television. I think something is hilarious. Wendy Williams has not been on the scene a lot lately, but she make her conversations and talk to who she need to talk to. And one of the things Wendy said was, everybody's interviewing people. I don't need to do TV no more. TV's dead. Pretty much everybody's doing interviewing now. With her saying that, and all this is alleged news, which your boy Gotti. With her saying that, I just hope that that's just her talking a little shit, because we definitely are expecting some type of Wendy, I feel, relaunch or return, being that Sherry Shepherd is no longer going to be on air. That is a strong time slot, and I think it's going to be important that anybody, that not just anybody, and not, let me correct myself, not just anybody come and take that. I think that that might have been what happened with Sherry, and Sherry is amazing. I've worked on the Sherry show. I've been there quite sometimes, and quite sometimes. I've been there quite a few times, and it's a great atmosphere. The energy is always great in the building, but I think that Sherry was handed such a large audience that required a certain way of reporting or expected a certain way of reporting. And Sherry in her own right, she went on for quite a few seasons. I believe this is the fourth season that has been canceled on. And so she definitely for sure had her own audience and grew an audience, but it was a large viewership that held down that time slot. It was, kind of a routine in the American household for the Wendy Williams show. And that's just like any other show. That's just like with Oprah. The views are going to go down. But I think when it came to Wendy, she was the only person on daytime doing that. I think that that time slot just expected that, and they did not get that. So I'm just hoping that Wendy can come back in some form, and reclaim daytime, because that is very important, and it has been very important for so many years. So let's not let that just slither away from us. And I think that a lot of things are slithering away from us. For instance, BET. BET programming has become written in just one way. And I think that we oftentimes forget that there's other people that deserve a chance. It always seems like we have to put one person in power at a time when it comes to certain industry things. And, you know, while they're in, it's all about what they want to put out. It's all about the projects and all about the content and, video, movies, songs, whatever that they want to put out at that time. It's like a big push for them. It's like a machine is behind them. And then once it's time for them to step back, they pull them off the shelf, and then they put a new person on the shelf, and then it just repeats. And I'm starting to see it now more common than I have ever seen it before. And it's very scary to see, because it's like, hey, we have so much to offer, and it wasn't always like this. Like, there used to be a time when there was a couple black sitcoms running, and it's no diss to anybody, because BET Plus has Miss Pat, Hulu has Abbott Elementary, who's now been renewed for another season. We had the Upshaws for so many seasons on Netflix, so we've had these shows. But when I think back to things like All of Us, the Steve Harvey Show, Martin, My Wife and Kids, all of these shows that we had, and there's so many that I could name that we had that were on at a time. And, everybody had a piece of the pie, everybody had a piece of the puzzle. Now, a lot of that can probably have to do with going back to my last live, when I was talking to y'all and I was saying we were speaking about the cable packages and individual streaming. It's just like everything that we once valued and that made sense is now either being, you know, vanishing, becoming obsolete, or we're changing it, we're adding something to it, we're flipping it. And it's just like, I've always been one to go with the growth and learn how to move and navigate through evolution. Like I said, I feel like I'm growing up and still in that time where the internet was developed and all of this shit came along, because it was a time we did not have this. I seen this stuff be rolled out. I seen, you know, not even that I seen, just for instance, this teacher was talking on TikTok and he's venting like, hey, I think I lost the passion. I don't even think I had to touch to teach anymore. And he's like, the kids don't even want to learn no more. They don't want to do the homework. They don't want to sit and do my curriculum. Why am I forcing myself to stay up for hours upon hours after I leave here? And we all know public education does not pay the greatest. So why is it expected of a teacher to leave there and do all of that, and then their child is coming to the school and just thinking that, hey, well, we got artificial intelligence, we have now AI, that nothing is going to matter. I can just pretty much, simply skate through this and learn what I need to learn, Google and X my phone. I didn't come from that. We didn't have that. Like, the most that we had when I got to high school was shit like Quizlet. And with Quizlet, you would literally have to type a question off of whatever, answer sheet or packet you were trying to work with and look through to see if someone had posted that from using the curriculum before. So somebody still had to learn and apply it for it to get on Quizlet. Now you can just screenshot this shit, throw it up on AI, and boom. Now, not saying us because the way this internet and these phones and shit was rolled out to us that would have been important, but I mean, not that it would have been important, but not saying that we wouldn't have not used it, like it wouldn't have been of importance. We still would have used it, but I just think now it's like, hey, we need to start like putting guidelines on certain shit. Like, I know it's probably not possible, but let's think about phones. Why is it that we're giving 3 and 4 year olds iPhones brand new? Like, here's the phone for the child. The child got this, that, and the third. A 6 year old can contact you, call you. I'm all for it. Hey, now communication. But let's get back to the essence. Why don't we limit shit to people that are of certain ages? Like, I remember when Facebook used to have to be 18 to have a Facebook page. You couldn't do a lot of shit without being of a certain age, and now it's just no guidelines on anything. I think everybody has access to everything. There's an equal playing field, and I love that everybody think they can achieve and do everything, but a lot of shit is just becoming too much of the norm, and people are thinking they don't have to do other things. And it's going to get to a point to where it's just going to burst. And I was looking at another thing that was saying in 5 years how so many open jobs are not going to be available because of AI. That's been something that they've been telling us for years. Like, we thought by 2020, I remember 2020, we thought there was going to be flying cars. When I was little, we was like, oh, when it's going to be 2020, the cars will be flying. Still ain't quite got there just yet. But I'm sure we close as hell. Or if they do got it, they just ain't rolled it out yet. But, I'm just really like confused at the state of everything that's going on. Like, T.I. and fucking 50 Cent, that's a whole distraction. You got this fucking war happening, and it's just like, what's really going on? Now they're saying gas prices are already up, I believe, like 15%. They shot up from out of like the twos to now you're seeing gas prices all the way up to at least $3.20 at minimum now. That's on the high end, but still to see the gas prices are up because of the Iran, canal passage where they're sending oil through. They have now shut down and threatened if they send through shit through there, they were gonna set it on fire. All this is alleged news here with Gotti. But you got all this shit going on with this war. You got people that are stuck over in different parts of the country, particularly like Omaha and Dubai. I know I've seen people on social media stuck over there. One person I follow, Oliver, I think he's stuck in Omaha, and then this girl that celebrated her 30th birthday have went viral because she's stuck in Dubai. And it's just crazy to see that, Oliver's telling his story and saying that Qatar is paying for, his hotel stay, his food, everything that he needs, making sure he's straight. And on one accord, she's in Dubai, and she's saying that they're not taking care of nothing. Like, everything that they have to take care of is on them and their responsibilities. Imagine going to celebrate your 30th birthday, and I don't know, I can't even say imagine, because I don't think none of us imagine that we would be fucking at war. And, raises a lot of eyebrows. The talks about the drafts is now resurfaced. It's just all kind of stuff, man. I just feel like it's just like, it's a negative. It's a negative. It's not like anything that I feel makes sense. And the shit is just sad. Like, the shit is sad. The shit is sad. The shit is sad. Like, and the thing is, Trump was just doing a State of the Union speech talking about how gas prices was the lowest ever, da 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 da, through, the last couple da 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 da. Now the prices are up because of the oil. And that's going to affect more shit, people with oil changes in cars. And then, of course, fuel for flights, which flight prices, I don't know if you guys have been looking, but flight prices are already high as hell. It's just a lot of shit, man. But it's your boy Gotti, man. Just here checking in with y'all on this Good Friday. Going on 4 o'clock. We've been here about right at 25 minutes. I was about to say we've been here about 30 minutes. But we're here 25 minutes vibing. Shout out to my boy PC. Have a birthday today. Beauty in the Black, March 19th, part 2 on Netflix is out. And your boy Gotti had the opportunity to step on that set. So that's exciting. Got a couple other films that I'm a part of coming out in 2025. Yeah, man. You know, it's a lot of things going on. Continue on. Keep on keeping on. That be the thing with films, though. A lot of times people be like, oh, I seen da 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 da. Don't even know you done did that some time ago. That money been spent. But it's the love of it. So I don't really understand this Kickoff app. I've been paying this app for like the past 3 years, and I ended up getting a new bank card, and the numbers changed, so I didn't update the payment method, and it's like, asking me to update the payment method so they can get the payment. So I'm like looking at over the past 3 years I paid this company like close to, let me see what the actual number is, like $15,000, which is not crazy because you can do the math on that. It's not that much that you're paying per month, whatever the case may be. And it's supposed to be like a credit builder. I'll pay all of that money, but I do not have access to all of that money. Now, this may be a simple, I don't know all of the shit I should know about the credit history, literature, or however the fuck you want to say it. But why have I been paying that money and I don't have access to that money? And it don't look like they plan to give me access to that money. So did I create a line of credit just to do what? Because I don't see any, and then now that it's not done, I don't see any significant lines on my actual credit history. But I don't know, man. I gotta reach out to somebody about that because that's a little confusing. It's a little confusing. Get the fuck up out my face with what you talking about. I got too much on my plate, and I know you can't relate. They show love, but it be fake. What you talking about? Shit be covering up the hate. I know how to spot it. Are we still feeding off the J. Cole album? It's been some time now. I'm still spinning. I'm still spinning. I'm still spinning. I'm still spinning. Now, the obvious elephant in the room, and if you're making it here at this point of the video, then you are a real one. Now, in regards to Great Big Game Show on Broadway, my time has ended and it has wrapped. And, we can definitely have a conversation about it. I definitely want to chat with you guys about it, but I think that we should do it on camera. So my time on Broadway has wrapped, and I'm just grateful to God that I was able to work on Broadway at this age and point in my life. I feel as though, a lot of the things that I have asked and prayed for, I've been able to walk in rooms and pretty much receive these blessings. And I think the only miss that I'm missing now is just being more direct when I'm manifesting and praying and being more specific about what I want. Because, like I said, I've definitely had my hand in a lot of opportunities and places that I never thought that I would be at, just off of hopes and dreams. And a lot of those dreams have been met so early on, but it just may have not been at the height that I wanted it to, but I've definitely been able to walk in those rooms. So I'm definitely grateful that I was able to be on Broadway for 4 months. That's an extended run on Broadway. It's typically the run that any stage production or actor would run on it, depending on the length and contract time. So that's pretty damn good for Broadway, man. And I think, like anybody say, you go to Broadway and you do what you got to do and you go home. That's not a place you stay forever. You know, I loved it. The experience was definitely everything. I have been, saying that I wanted to polish back up on performing live, and it gave me the opportunity to do it. I did well over 125 shows. My duration there, they were hour-long shows going through a series of mini games. It was just an amazing time. I thought that I was going to grow with the company, and I pretty much got the wrong impression about the company. I'm not gonna say wrong impression, but they presented it and polished it up in a different way prior to me working there. So it's a lot of things that I didn't really necessarily know until after being in the studio under the roof on Broadway and figuring it out with them as well, because I was a part of the launch team. So this is a brand new store. This is not something that had ever been in on Times Square. It was in the Brill building. If you're familiar with the Brill building, you know that a lot of our music was recorded there. And I think I shared this with you guys. So for the people that's just not tuning in, I would definitely continue to share. But it was located in the Brill building on Broadway, the corner of 49th Street. And if you're familiar with the Brill building, you know the history behind that. And me just, being a theater kid that attended the performing arts school, then going to college to obtain theater arts degree, you can obviously know what that meant for me. And I just jumped at the opportunity. I definitely was in talks with them for a while, and we was trying to figure some things out. I didn't necessarily like numbers that they were throwing at the beginning, but it's Broadway, and hey, you hear the hustle, and then opportunities to, present itself in a higher ranking and grow if you have it was mentioned. So I was trying, I would say, to work it and make it to there. But I think that, as a person of color, you're going to have people that do not want you to succeed. You're going to have people that do not understand why you are in a role or you're in the rooms that you are in at your age. And, it's just a lot. And in New York, it was the first time that I experienced, a real deal feel of diversity, if that makes sense, or division within a workplace. And even down to the area that I live in now in New York, Williamsburg. Like, I love Williamsburg. It's beautiful. I used to walk over there every day from my place in Bushwick just to sit at the water and kind of just cool out. So to now live and having a space over there, it's amazing. But just living in that neighborhood, just seeing how, people of other race and color, treat the people of color. And I just definitely experienced that within the job. And it was definitely people of the other color. So, a lot of things went on. I definitely want to share that with y'all. But it is now moving into the summer season. So we're just going to continue and roll with what layouts and roles that Kev Gotti got. So like I said, I will talk to y'all about that on camera very, very, very soon. Now, in regards to the Kev Gotti show, the Kev Gotti show, you guys clearly have seen, have been watching, and if you have not, you need to leave right now and go check out the Kev Gotti show. I don't know what you're still doing here, listening to my voice at 34 minutes for. You need to be watching one of the episodes of the Kev Gotti show. Now, I am taking a commercial break, and we will be back with the Kev Gotti show. A lot of the things that you guys were supposed to see last summer, for the people that's been around, you know, that's going to start to roll out as the time get closer, because this is rolling around to the what have been the 1 year anniversary of Beyond the Fences and the 1 year launch of the Kev Gotti show. So of course, man, I only can go bigger and better, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. You know, I had so many ideas last summer, filmed so much, did so much that didn't even make it to YouTube, and I just think that, you know, the time is now. So we're doing everything we're only doing everything that we're supposed to already do, man. And it's a good Friday. I had a good time chatting with y'all. It's just alive. I'm gonna come back sometime very, 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 very soon. So you already know what to do. Smash that bell button to know every time I'm live, man. Like this video, subscribe. It is costs you absolutely nothing. Your support is free. Now, if I was up here asking for funds and duns, then you guys should probably still send it, because I'm up here doing it for free. But hey, man, I love being up here with y'all on YouTube. I just want to say thank you to everybody that support the boy. And, you know, I'll holler at y'all later. It's your boy Gotti. I am out.